Hey friends, welcome back to the Author Spotlight. I'm your host, Michael Butler, where we interview amazing authors from around the world. Now, you're going to love our international guest here, but before I bring her up, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She is making a big splash around the world, and she was in the corporate world for years, but she reinvented herself a number of years ago, and hopefully we hear a little bit about that. But her book, Unstuck Yourself, an Amazon bestseller, is the guide to designing a life you love. She's a certified coach and she's a best-selling author and speaker. Samantha Buckley-Hugessen, welcome from Cabo, Mexico. So glad you're here.
Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Yep, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here with you.
Well, it's great to have you on, and I know we've interviewed you a couple of times, but not everybody's got a chance to meet you yet. So we've invited people to join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope today, because you definitely have a message that is timely. And speaking of being stuck, you've been stuck at your home office for the last few months. How are you dealing with this pandemic transition?
Well, I decided that it's kind of my jam. I work with clients all over the world. So, and this is how we work. This is a avenue that I've been using for years and years, the virtual coaching. So it didn't change a lot for me. However, I am ready. I finally this weekend got out and did a bunch of hiking with my family and with some good physical distancing friends, and did a lot of meditating, a lot of listening. It's been a really good few months of reflection and growth for me. So I hope for a lot of other people too.
Now, I know you coach people at all different stages of business development and personal development, from transition and things like that. Has the pandemic affected your work? Have you been able just to continue right on with customers and clients?
Well, I coach a lot of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. And so when their businesses got shut down, that's been hard. Timing wise, so I've been working a few different avenues to be supportive of my clients in this transition. Some of them are just thriving, and others, they're still paying their employees and they haven't had money coming in for months. So we're transitioning, but it's really cool because they're also kind of looking at, okay, what else can I do? What's another avenue I can grow through this type of situation, which we've never experienced before. So there's a ton of growth going on as well. I see, for instance, our market down here is just going to come out of the gates. It's just, yeah.
Well, that's a huge travel market. It's a destination, vacation destination for a lot of people. Would you say the tourism industry is the primary industry there?
I would say that, yes. Yep.
Now, I'm looking at your book, and I got to say, one of my favorite chapters is fluid thinking. And I would imagine that you've coached some of your clients and probably put some of these principles to work for yourself during the pandemic with fluid thinking. Tell us a little bit about what is fluid thinking? What does that mean, and how can an entrepreneur or business owner benefit from that?
Well, it's the act as if. I mean, fluid thinking it's got a lot of components to it, but it's an act as if it was going to work out. If it's going to work out, which it always has, maybe not how you planned it, maybe not how you thought it was supposed to go, but I remind people that there's been plenty of times in their life, I'm positive of this, that they found something unfavorable going on, and then they looked back, 6 months, 6 years later, and went, oh, that's why that happened. It was, okay, that's, thank goodness I didn't get my wishes. So fluid thinking really is about imagining it all worked out. And then what would you do today if indeed it all worked out? And you live by that belief.
Well, you talk about the power of belief, and in fact, which chapter, which part of the book? Because I know you speak a lot as well. What's the main driving message that you love to communicate the most, or what's one of the most popular parts of the book that comes up the most in your coaching program?
Dreaming it up and believing it. So you nailed it right there with the belief part of it. Is we in the foreword that Jenny Reichert wrote for me. It's great to hear it again from, someone who learned from me, because I learned from somebody else, about dream again. And it's not daydream, as in it'll never happen. It's kind of like, well, let's just say it did happen. Let's just say you could have the job you wanted to have, or you could have the life that you wanted to have, or you could have the health that you wanted to have. And let's put yourself in that state, and it is visualize and journal or vision boards or whatever it is. And then the book talks a lot about you have to believe it and act as if. And you read your new story, letting go of your old stories, your old paradigms.
Love it.
Your new story every day. It's kind of like, what if indeed this is true, what would that person do today? Take a step toward it. It's pretty cool.
Well, you have the hardcover, the paperback, and the audiobook available up at A Designed Life LLC.com.
Yeah.
No, it's very exciting. I know you're speaking everywhere. We've invited you, and wherever the pandemic has not closed down, eventually you'll be back on stages soon.
Yeah.
Did you do any personal reinvention as a result of the pandemic, or are you just kind of plan for the best, prepare for the worst kind of a CEO yourself? Because you grew up in a pretty dysfunctional family, and I want to get to that. I want to see how much of that was preparation for your success now, because at one point you said, I'm done with corporate, I'm going to do my own gig.
Yeah.
And did that dysfunctional childhood prepare you for that in any way?
Absolutely. I mean, everything's a lesson. Everything's a lesson. Good lesson, bad lesson. If you look at it as okay, I learned what not to do, or I learned what to do. Everything's a lesson. You'll find that in the book too. It's like, you've heard it since you were a child. Okay, but the silver lining is, if we spend more time looking at, not denying the facts of things, I'm not denying the facts of anything. But the truth is, as a result of that, choices were made to live differently. So I'm really grateful.
I love that. That's a very powerful lesson, and some people don't get it. They think you're actually lying to yourself, but you're actually allowing yourself to believe what your subconscious mind is telling you is possible all along.
Yes. And again, I always remind people, I'm not telling you to deny the facts. I'm telling you to energize the truth.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So tell me a little bit about, what are people going to find when they go to your site and look at A Designed Life? What's the best way somebody can engage you? We had mentioned they could buy the book. Do you have like an assessment or a coaching program or something that somebody could take a look at what you've got?
Yes, if you go to designedlifellc.com, you're going to find stories, testimonials from a bunch of fun, wonderful clients over the years. You'll also find that I have a 6-week online course that takes parts of the Audible, it takes parts of the book, it's video with me live at the time. And it's a 6-week course. We have an Unstuck Yourself Facebook group that's private, only for people that are studying the work. So, and like you said, you can go get the Audible or the hardcover, paperback, everything on the website.
Well, I just want to say too, it's very interactive. I'm looking, there's a lot of worksheets and assignments in here that you actually take people. You don't just leave people in their stuff. You actually are a catalyst for change, right? Well,
that's the key, is that I think you could ask almost any coach in the world, if you only had one function that you could say was your biggest thing for coaching, what is it? It's accountability.
Yeah.
It's accountability. So I can sit there and talk all day long, and I might even impress you, but I want to impress upon you that change is possible. Not only is it possible, but it's probable when you do the work. So don't intimidate them by showing them all the notebook stuff, because it's a really fun book. It's a really fun course too.
Carrie Lowe is a Ziegler Legacy certified trainer, and he mentions, he writes an endorsement for the back of the book, and he says, my success paradigm changed the very moment Samantha asked me to do the things she is sharing with you in this book. write down what I would love in my life. This book is a life changer. So I know you've gotten hundreds of testimonials like that. What's some of the feedback you're getting as you speak and as you coach people, Samantha?
I got the most beautiful Instagram message the other day, and it was I just get a lot of thank yous. I get a lot of thanks for your yes. And whenever anybody enters into coaching with me or in one of my courses, I also thank them for their yes, because when you live a bigger life, when you live a life of design, not by default, you're going to impact people knowingly and unknowingly. I've got a beautiful client. I'm so in love with her, who absolutely transformed her life. She is the student of the year as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And now she's becoming a youth coach. She just signed up to my alma mater, and she's going to become a youth coach. Imagine that. Imagine what a gift she is. And what if she never said yes to, yeah, I'm in. I'm willing to stretch. I'm willing to change. Oh, it gets me so excited.
That is exciting. I mean, you're making an eternal impact in somebody's life. You've changed the direction of their career. They've gone from being a victim to taking ownership. And how much of buying this house for you in Mexico? I know you believe for some basically miraculous funding, because it's hard for an American when you move there to get funding, and you've got a story around that. And I think now with so much negative news and fake news and turmoil in our media, it's really nice to hear a positive story. And so I want you to tell me this positive story, what you visualized moving to Mexico, and tell me about this house. This is a miracle.
Okay, well, the whole thing about moving to Mexico was something that I lived in Mexico with my mom when I was a kid. It was one of her adventures. So always had a warm place in my heart. My wonderful brother moved here in the early 90s. And so I'd always wanted to move here, but what's a 6'2" single blonde going to do in Mexico? So turns out when I met my husband and I moved to Canada for him, that he owed me one. And admittedly, he's like, next movie's yours. I'm like, we're going to Mexico.
I love that.
Our kids
You moved to Mexico first. That would have turned out all wrong, right?
My kids would be a lot shorter, I'm sure. But anyway, so
there you go.
Anyway, the long and short of it is that we made a decision. We wanted to raise our kids and be very present parents. And, working the grind, even though I had a beautiful life in Whistler, BC, making lots of money and in the mountains and all that, I was still in season. It owned me. So I was coming home to dinner, under a heat lamp and not saying goodnight to my kids. So it just wasn't working. Long story short, moved down here. And we said 6 months or 6 years, let's just go for an adventure. They're 2 and 4. Let's go. Yeah. And that was 2007. So we're in 2020. Here we are.
You don't regret it a minute, do you?
No. And that's the life by design part, and I'm going to point something out that people say all the time. Oh, you're so lucky. It wasn't luck. It's a decision. Luck is when preparedness meets opportunity. And we were prepared to transform our life. So to get to the house part of it, we had offers on 3, I can't remember, maybe even 4 houses, accepted offers, that type of thing. And it kept falling through. So we just tapped the brakes. We just said, okay, something's going on here. Are we being redirected? What's going on here? We're just going to rent. And then we ended up moving into a house and renting it. And we liked it so much we wanted to buy it. But they paid, a lot of money for the house to be built. And we didn't want to pay that much money. So we just kept renting. And I just hit back every once in a while. And I hit back at the right time. And I got the house for half of what it was paid for by the developer.
Boom.
Yeah. Boom. And it's just like, there's always a way. And I got them to finance it because now it had been 10 years that we'd been here. And so we weren't gonna, and I just refused to go pay 15% interest to a bank.
Right.
So it was kind of like, it's got to
be good for you.
This way. Thank you.
Oh, that's so exciting.
It's possible for everyone. I'm not special in that way. I just have strong belief. And if I take actions, what's the thing I could do? I could contact the owner. I could ask him to carry the note. I could. And that's the energy behind designing your life.
Well, that's really what I love about what you teach, Samantha, is, some people are too afraid to ever get started or put their toe in the water. And, you said, what if? You said, why not? You said 6 months or 6 years, the kids are young. Some people will stay in a state of fear and never grow because they never step out of their bubble. And so, I mean, how different would your life have been and your kids' life, right? Because you've expanded their mind and you've given them a wonderful opportunity to see the world from several different countries and broaden their perspective and plus just to maximize. And I'm glad you brought up family, because I was going to ask you about Unstuck Yourself and designing your life. How much of that, if it works in the business and entrepreneurial world, also works for family and relationships?
In the book, you're going to find that there is lots of topics. There's lots of pillars or cylinders to the car. I like to liken it as cylinders to the car, because here's the deal. You're going to have maybe your love and relationship cylinder, and you're going to have your career cylinder, and you're going to have your time freedom and your health and well-being, and. The truth of the matter is, if you are a coach, you coach the whole person. Right? So if someone says, well, I'm an executive coach and I help people run their business. Okay. So you are a mentor, you're a trainer, or are you a coach? Because the coach comes from, you don't have to know someone's business to be a great coach for that person. You just have to get them to see the growth or what's needed in their business. You need to get them to see what's needed in their love life, in their health, in their well-being, and hold them accountable. And, believe in them too. Because that's another thing, Michael, is that most people don't believe in themselves nearly as much as others believe in them. They don't see themselves as capable as they were created.
And I want to talk to you about that, because something Carrie Lowe, our mutual friend and Ziegler certified trainer, said, and as a matter of fact, he's practically your neighbor. I don't know, maybe a 6-hour drive away or something, but
6 hours, yeah.
He's in Baja, sir. How do you say it? Baja, sir. Is that right?
Baja, California, sir. Yeah. Southern Baja. We can call it Southern Baja.
So I can't wait to come visit everybody down there. I'm meeting so many amazing people. But he's one of the world's top timeshare sales people and trainer. And when it comes to sales, he said this. He said self-confidence. He said the reason people don't save money is because they lack self-confidence. And he was telling me about what he had learned in his own life, but also what he's applying, and he's teaching his sales people and his sales training now. And I thought, how valuable is that we allow ourselves to self-sabotage because we might not even realize it in an area of self-esteem. How important is self-esteem and is confidence building something you can uncover in this Designing Your Life program?
You betcha. Well, think about what is confidence. It's probably stringing together some successes. Wouldn't that make you confident? You'd have evidence. Oh, I've done this. I was capable. Look, I did this. So you have the belief it's possible. And then, of course, and the idea of confidence is just knowing that it's all working out. It's not to be confused with ego or arrogance. Those are two very conflicting energies to just self-esteem and confidence in great knowing. And I talk about that in the book too. There's a difference between knowing about something. Oh, I know about sales. I know about, resorts or whatever. And I truly know this business. And Carrie is a great example of somebody that truly knows that business. Eats, sleeps, drinks, loves that business.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. But I got to ask you the question, at what point in your life, I don't know if you were a teen or if you were a preteen, when you looked
I was at one point, but.
Yeah. You looked around at the dysfunction, but you started giving yourself positive affirmation. When did you make the switch? Because nobody around you was edifying you.
Well, okay. So there was a point where I used to call my mom the Swami Mommy. my mom was very metaphysical. My mom was super spiritual, but unfortunately, she ended up using all this yummy woo-woo stuff to support her old negative stories, right? So it was, I can't do this because she was famous for the, if you only knew, living in the past and the drama and the story. So, and I'm sorry for her, but I'm grateful because I got to learn, don't go down that road, right?
Right.
So I want to give her credit for that gift of teaching me that. And then, because she did, I saw, the good in it all. And then Mary Morrissey in my early career, this early 2012-ish, when I came across her work, it's like, wow, okay, now I'm ready to listen again. And Mary teaches, what I talk about in the book is, I wrote a list back in 1997 or 1998, unknowingly, and I even say in the book, unknowingly, I was designing my life.
Yes, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Well, who was it said, success, a lot of people don't recognize it because it shows up in overalls and looks like work. And somewhere along the line, you realized that writing it down was going to make it more than just a dream, but make it actionable goals that you were going to achieve. And you've achieved them all.
Yes. Thank you.
The power of writing it down. I mean, it goes back to what Napoleon Hill taught in Think and Grow Rich, right? Somewhere along the way, you got it from the Bible or your mom or Napoleon Hill or all of the above. You're like, I'm going to take charge of my life and change it. And so you've been designing your life and redesigning people's lives through your coaching. So what I'm so excited about at Design Life is people can go there now. And I know you've got stuff for them to sign up for. They can check it out, get free offers, download stuff. They can buy the books and the audio book, listening to it in the car. You're actually the talent that's reading the audio book, and you did a great
voice.
job.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you. It's I actually like the audio book, which I didn't think I would, but I like it because also I like to have something in my hand, where I can, write it and highlight
touch it and underline it.
Right. But we don't get unstuck once and we're cured. That would be like, I talk about in the book, I lost 40 pounds. But if I went 100% back to what I was, I'd be 100% heavier again.
Yeah, right.
So sometimes we slip. That's all. Sometimes we slip. It's called the cha-cha. It doesn't mean it's over. It just means, okay, draw a line. Let's go. Just start again.
Well, I like what somebody said. Once the mind expands, it never stretches back to its original position. But it does. It is an ongoing work. And I just wanted to comment on some of the people that are commenting. Elizabeth Sama from London, UK is commenting. And you got some great fans here, some great friends.
Thanks, guys.
Shayla says hi. She's writing a great book on homeschooling. And
that's necessary.
Yeah. Tanya says, amazing wisdom. Love her.
Oh, thanks.
So just some great friends chiming in. If you've got a question for Samantha before we wrap up here, go ahead and type it into the chat. Carlos commented on YouTube. Accountability is big. But if you got a question for Samantha, she's in Cabo San Lucas and Mexico, where we're all going to take a Beyond Publishing trip and help her and Ragna and Deborah and some of our other friends down there officially have a red carpet launch of your books there, and just so many of your amazing friends and fans following you. And what's one of the biggest feedback you've gotten from your readers in the last couple months, Sam? Because I know you launched the book pre-pandemic, but a lot of people have picked it up in the last couple months during the pandemic. What's some of the feedback you're getting? Well,
I got to tell you that it's like a super deep dive, because many of the people in the Facebook group, the Unstuck Yourself Facebook group, they're being transparent. Like, you know what? I was doing great. And the saboteur showed up. What is that? Because the saboteur is going to show up. But the reason I think we're having such a deep dive is because people have something they haven't had up until the pandemic, which is a lot of time. So they're seeing things and they're feeling things and they're getting intuitions and they're getting empathy stuff. And, it's a lot to suddenly have someone slam on the brakes to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a lot. And I know that there's a lot of people out there. I'm actually doing a speaking gig, so to speak, for 400 or 500 people at the end of June this way for a company, because, you know, now they're starting to lean back in and they're starting to say, okay, come back to work now. You're physically going to come in. And people are kind of like, wait a minute, I really, really liked my life slowed down.
Exactly. It's going to be a big adjustment.
Right. So as crazy and unpredictable as the pandemic has been, imagine what I'm teaching in this, just as crazy and just as real. It's awesome. Oh, I'm looking at the comments. Yay.
Yeah, you've got a lot of precious friends here that are just sharing their love and thanking you for being their coach all these years. And Deborah Kelly saying, hey, too, there's the
other great author.
Yeah, you've got a great fan base here. And so, you know, leaving us with a closing word, and I know I've got some stages we want you to be on. We want you to be Guadalajara speaking in December. I'm going to talk to you about a San Antonio event and speaking there coming up pretty quickly. But what advice would you leave somebody that maybe is going through that fear, trepidation, or maybe they've gotten back into addiction with alcohol or something during the, or just maybe their marriage or significant other relationship because they've been stuck at home. You know, I could handle snow day as a kid because you're home for a day or two, but some people have been stuck at home for the last 90 days. And I've heard that domestic abuse has gone up and alcoholism's gone up. What advice would you like to leave everybody with?
Well, it's to get quiet. Get quiet. And I know that I'm talking about having a lot of quiet time, but I'm talking about centered, focused, spiritual, yummy, you know, spirit, God, grand overall designer time, and learn to ask really great questions. What's next for me? What can I do in this situation? Knowing there is a solution. There is an answer to every question, and there is a solution to every problem, period. It's science. It's the way it is. So if you will just trust me on that and know that you can get quiet, get out of the problem and get into a solution frequency, answers will come to you. So pray, write gratitude list, get quiet, and write a really great question out and wait for the answer. It's going to come in your sleep. It's going to come in a nudge. It's going to come in just a flash idea or an intuition, but you will get your answers.
Well, it's called Unstuck Yourself, and it's the guide to designing a life that you love. This will help your relationships, your money, and your career. And so, Samantha, I want to thank you for being with us on this Sunday. You've helped a lot of people. You continue to help a lot as you speak, coach. And grab the audiobook, grab the print books on adesignedlife.com. We're going to have you back when we have more time, and stick around. I think we got one more comment we're going to put into the feed. And just really appreciate all the questions and all the comments and everybody that said hello.
Thanks, everybody.
Go out and grab Unstuck Yourself. And you know what? You're going to come back from this pandemic thriving and not just surviving. Thank you, Sam, for being with us. Have a great day, friends. And thanks for joining us on The Author Spotlight with Beyond Publishing. I'm your host, Michael D. Butler. This has been Samantha Buckley-Hugessen, and it's been a joy interviewing you today.
Thanks, guys.